Hold on. Okay. All right. Call the meeting to order 7:06. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look at that. Wes, I saved you some time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice.
All right. I don't think there's any additions or deletions to the agenda. I'm assuming everybody had a chance to read over last month's minutes. Can I get a motion to approve last month's minutes?
I make a motion.
I approve.
And Wes seconds.
Great. Excellent.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No. That's great. Public comment? And there is none. Young lady? None? Okay. She's like her biggest fan. Shows up to every meeting. All right. Staff reports. Emily.
All right. So we have officially sold out of our summer camp with 375 registrations. Spring programs coming up include community art classes. We have one on Monday scheduled for DIY do-it-yourself birdhouse. You're going to be painting birdhouses at Lone Lane outside, so that'll be nice. We have beginner pickleball programs and lessons coming up, yoga in the park, tennis lessons, let's make guacamole, Zumba in the park, and more. Quick events update for you. We had Earth Day beautification. Thank you, April, for coming out and helping that day. We had a small group at Grange Park, and we just laid some mulch down. So it was a nice morning with everyone there. We had a fishing derby on May 4th. Would say that was definitely a success. We had about 60 people register, probably between 40 and 50 showed up. It was a great morning. Jim was there, had some nice volunteers. Jason was also there to help out that day, which was awesome. No negative feedback as well that day. Arts Quest, unfortunately, did have to cancel their Concerts on the Grange event due to weather-related concerns. You may have seen that on social media, so that was kind of a bummer. Pickleball was a hit that same weekend. That was that Saturday, as well as the Children's Bike Rodeo hosted by the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. It was a small turnout for the rodeo, but definitely a great experience for everybody. Some other events coming up. We have a movie in the park featuring the movie Migration at Lone Lane. We have Sangria Fest coming up as well. Yeah. Arts Quest concert, the second one in July coming up. We have a food truck festival, sports equipment swap, and more listed there. We will complete a grant to help offset costs of constructing a perimeter walking trail. We're still working on that. That's due at the end of the month. We will also start working on what's called a Main Street Lehigh Valley's grant. This is a small grant for about $1,000. We're just going to use that towards some improvements at Grange Park. We're still trying to determine exactly what that's going to be at this time. And then we will also complete DCD Capital Projects Fund. Oh, that one we actually did. So that one you can scratch off there. Lastly, we as staff selected Simone Collins as the consulting firm to lead the Comprehensive Recreation Parks and Open Space Plan, which was tentatively supposed to start May 2nd. Obviously, we're a little bit delayed, just waiting on agreements to be signed for that. But again, just as a reminder, that plan is going to be a really helpful and useful tool for the next 10 to 12 years as far as what we apply for grant money and where we allocate funds to improve parks and the overall experience of our programs. They are going to be looking to form a steering committee soon, and they definitely want at least 2 members of this board to be a part of it. So once I get some more information on that, I'll relay it to you, even if it's before next month's meeting. And then lastly, just a quick update. We had a small grant awarded for $4,600 to plant 19 trees at Lone Lane Park. So that was great through the Lehigh Valley Greenways grant. And that's all I got.
Is there an update on the community center? Last time you said there's a big update. And what is the big update?
I would tune in for the next Board of Supervisors meeting.
Okay.
So for the steering committee, they're looking for 2 members. So when does that start?
It just depends on when they get their final signed agreement to us. But it should be within the next 2 weeks. It should be really quick that they're going to be starting to form that committee.
Is there anybody? So I guess whoever goes, they just have to, you'll go, and then you said was it 4 times a month, or if I'm 4 times a year?
Yeah, so they'll be with us for about 12 months. They meet with the steering committee about 4 times over that span. I think a couple times in the beginning, or maybe once or twice in the beginning, and then the 2 towards the end of the process. But these people would just really be there to represent the board's interests, public's interests, taking a deep dive into parks. What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you think of our programs, our operations, just the full works of diving into all aspects.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess we'll send out if anybody wants to be on that committee, we'll send out an email within the next 2 weeks, and if you want to be on it, so be it.
If you can send out like specifics as far as if they have enough, specific dates and things, that would be helpful. Or
Yeah, I'll touch base with them once everything's signed and in writing, and see if they have specific dates picked out, which they're pretty thorough. They're the ones that actually did the Division 0 action plan. So they're pretty on top of that scheduling ahead of time.
Awesome. All right. Great job, Emily. Looks like you guys are busy. Oops. Right. Next, old business action items. So I tried uploading I completely forgot about that. A spreadsheet to track our action items, and for some reason I was not able to upload any more things. Jackie, do you have the ability to upload to the Google Drive?
Yeah, I have access to Google Drive for the township.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
can make something if you want. I can make a document and then share it with everybody.
Yeah, I tried
I'll
uploading
share
it.
with you. I know.
You moved. That's what's different. You usually sit over there.
Sorry.
It's
In my
okay.
mind, you're always there. I don't know.
Okay, I'll send you the file, and I guess we'll figure that out. But moving forward, we'll just have a spreadsheet for our action items, and then if you have an update for it, this will be the point where you can speak about it. And I think that's pretty much about it about that. And we were kind of late with everything, or I was late with everything. So if we didn't have anything done by this meeting, that's fine. We'll just cover that next meeting. And then just a reminder what those action items were. April will look into community apps, which I believe she did send some information.
Yep.
Matthew will research a shared rec board calendar app. April and Jason will investigate EB printing for cards, which I think Jason also emailed.
Yes.
Emily will bring a piece of paper for public members to sign in.
Done.
And Jackie will be in charge of planning a yearly social team building gathering for the rec board. All that stuff. So next month, we'll discuss that, and then whatever items get added on from this month's meeting as well. Did I miss anything or mess anything up?
We're good.
All right.
And we
Can
can
I-
keep. Go ahead.
can I
Sorry.
just interject something? I was at Fish Hatchery, the Lehigh Parkway, and they have a huge, I think a Boy Scout did this for a project. It's like a big wooden board that has flyers and stuff, plexiglass, like behind it. And they have a QR code at the bottom that says to, look about upcoming programs or something in Allentown parks. So I thought, oh, that would be something we could possibly have like at our different parks. I'm not sure what all it involves, but that was kind of
We
a,
have message boards at all the parks, so
do we have
something-
message boards?
We do. I like the QR code idea. I don't think we have anything posted right now with a QR code, so that would be something.
Yeah, I mean, they had flyers for the different programs and stuff, but then, like I said, they had this QR code at the bottom that you, I guess, would sign into, and then it would have more elaborate, like, list of programs and things.
Okay.
And that was for the Allentown Park System. So I thought that was kind of cool. But anyways, okay.
Awesome. Okay. So, all right. So I guess we can move into bylaw change.
Yeah, so last meeting, I believe Matthew had brought up adding the requirement for board members to attend events. I did receive some feedback from our township manager on that bylaw change that I just want to do my due diligence of sharing with you guys to get your opinion. They believe that the change may put an unnecessary pressure on the board members, especially new board members as we go through the years, to have to attend events. It was felt that board members can add to the board without necessarily having to go to events. They can add in different ways. So that was just the feedback that I received. And I guess the question to you guys would be, do you feel like that bylaw change would put too much pressure on board members and that it should be more of an honor system, as well as contributing in other ways? Or should we keep the bylaw change of enforcing X amount of events?
I don't think we specified how much or how
We
many.
didn't yet.
So I mean, it's pretty vague, and so there. I mean, technically there was no penalty for violating it, and it was mostly created because there were members who were not contributing at all. Like any member, I can tell you right now, any member on this board would never be in violation of it. But that's my 2 cents.
Sorry, guys, I'm late. I was stuck in traffic, so I was trying to.
I told you, just cut people off.
Who's the feedback from? You said the
Bob.
Township manager?
township
Yeah.
manager, okay.
could you put something like maybe recommend it and not make it mandatory?
That's true. That might be a good idea.
I mean, personally, a lot of the events have fallen on when I have other things going on. So it's like, yeah,
And that's out of your control necessarily, so
so
I agree with Jim. I like the recommendation idea of,
Mm.
We recommend that you attend X amount. It's always great to be out with the public and stuff, but to enforce it kind of, just the way it's worded
Mhm.
may give a sense of pressure.
yeah. And especially, I mean, everybody's lives are full.
I mean, technically, we have the requirement to be at this meeting as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say leave it as it is. I mean, because there's no penalty.
Right.
So I have the same problem that you have. Like I usually miss the Easter one, and there's another one because it both falls on my kid's birthday, so I never show up to them. But like I said, there's also no penalty at all.
Yeah. I mean, we have to remember this is a volunteer job.
Which I think that's where the feedback was coming from is like, we're all supposed to meet here once a month. Is it kind of too much to ask or expect, I should say, even if there's no penalty, will that individual be looked down upon for not showing up?
Right.
And
I think
maybe.
letting know in the beginning before somebody is added to the board that it's recommended that you try and come to different events.
I mean, the other thing is there's also no time frame, so there's nothing that says you have to be there for an hour, 4 hours, the whole event.
Right.
You can literally be there for 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's true.
I think recommends sounds better on paper and in writing. And I think on the side, like you said, Gwen, when people come in, we can say, hey, really get out there. Like you're going to learn a lot about our residents. You're going to see how we run things here. Try your best to get out there.
And there was always other ways too that people can contribute. So I
Agreed.
think that's important too. Behind the scenes kind of thing.
If you're on the board, you're probably gonna help out anyway. That's just the way it is.
Jackie, do you have any input?
I agree with everybody here that I think we should take the feedback of the township manager. I think it's a good idea to leave it as a recommendation. And like Wes said, I think people will want to get involved, and I think that you have to try to encourage each other. And I like how you send out emails to try to get us involved. Yeah, I think that's just a good way to leave it. And if for some reason, I guess you're struggling getting help, then maybe we have to revisit it then.
I don't think it's not so much help as it is communicating with the people of Upper or the residents of Upper McCountry. So if you don't spend any time in a township booth, how do you get feedback from the residents?
Right. That's true.
There would be no way.
So it's not about volunteer hours.
It has
that
nothing to
you
do with
need.
volunteer hours.
So you have enough volunteer hours, you feel like.
It's more
you-
for getting feedback and talking to. So
having us be involved with the community more, so we can know what they want.
Right. So if this was like a township meeting where it's packed and people are always here to let us know what's going on, then we really wouldn't have to worry about being at a booth. But because nobody's here and the only way to get feedback from residents is at that booth, that would be my recommendation. You do learn a lot from talking to people at those booths, and that's why I suggest that you should, take that route. Then the other issue you have is what if we have 7 members and we have and again, this already happened. We have 6 members doing everything, and you have 1 member who is on the board but doesn't help out at all. So this rule, when you leave this in place, at least there is a way to get that individual off the board, because we can at least say, hey, you're not helping out at all. And this is something that already did happen. Roz.
I'm for it. I try to volunteer as much as I can for the events, as well as like volleyball or anything, any program which I want to run by the township. So I'm for my thinking is, if you're on a board, you must help out. Board is not for the chair. Board is to interact with the community and get the ideas from the community. It's board, for me, in my opinion, board is a liaison between township and the supervisor, to see between township and the community, to get the input from the community and say, okay, we want this from Banksville Park, or we want these events, so how can we do it? Okay, let's see, next year can we do this event? Like most of the people say we want fireworks for 4th of July. Okay, let's see how we can do it. I'm just giving an example. We used to be a hit event in Brannicksville Park, and that's sad that it's not there anymore. So now I think as a board responsibilities, I'm just giving an
Agreed.
example.
I love fireworks.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example, which was a very popular event for the township, and it's gone, and it's sad because my daughter grew up watching this, and now the new generation is not. But we may not have fireworks. At least we have a drone strike or something different, which we don't have any program for 4th of July, and that's a shame.
Gotcha. Okay. So everybody's okay with it as long as there's no penalty.
I'm okay with that.
So we'll just leave it at that and just don't put any penalty. And if we do end up with an individual like we did before, then we'll.
Hey, Matt, on that note, I know you have your list about volunteers, but I think once you build up the volunteer program, it'll help the rec board out. allocating people to some of these programs, especially the new ones where we're not sure what's going to happen. You may need more people, or even the fishing one where we're measuring the fish. You know, it would have been nice to maybe have one or two more people around. So you really don't know until we do these things sometimes, but I think it'll benefit if we can really get that volunteer program going.
Gotcha. No,
Mhm.
great
Too,
input.
if you make it a penalty though, like people will not want to do it sometimes.
Well, that's what I'm
If you're
hoping.
like, I like the way you're explaining it. Like you're saying, like it's a way for us to like talk with the community members and show our face as the board. Like that to me, like the way you explained it was a great way, which I don't feel like a lot of people explained to us when we first started.
Right.
But I just feel like making it a penalty could
Make it worse. Okay.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people aren't going to want to join the board then, and then
Yeah.
they're
Gotcha.
never going to want to
Yeah.
participate.
Agreed.
April?
Lost it.
April?
I like recommendation fast. Hello?
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, we're here.
I like the nation as the push rule because that it would be, sometimes it's schedule. I came out to the park and I
Hey, April.
went to come over to do this as I wanted to because I just had, yeah. Hello?
Thanks, April.
I'm gonna
Are you
hang
not
up.
hearing me?
Hey, I'm gonna hang up and try calling you again. You were coming in scratchy there.
You have a number?
908.
217. Oh, you got it?
Hello?
Hello.
You there?
Yeah, that's better.
Hi, April.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We can hear you loud and clear now.
Could you hear
Oh,
us?
there you are. Okay, I got you. You know what it is? I touched the phone to turn the sound back on, and I think it disconnected from my earbuds. So, yeah, I agree with the idea for recommendation because sometimes you just can't always get there. You know, my schedule is crazy. Everybody's crazy is crazy. You know, we try to get there for when we can, but, you know, sometimes somebody's value in another way is more valuable than their presence at an event.
Noted. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. I guess that was it about that. Does anybody else had any other questions, comments?
So should we like take a vote to see kind of where people are leaning?
Did anybody want to change it besides April?
What? I thought April was, like, for the not having a penalty.
Nobody's for a penalty.
Oh. Then why'd you say besides April?
Because April wanted to make it a recommendation instead of a requirement. So it's a requirement without a penalty.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I'm so confused.
Does anybody actually wish to change it then? Yeah.
Oh, so it's a requirement, but not without a penalty.
Correct.
I'm okay leaving it. I don't know.
When does not like it.
I-
Just leave it.
All right, somebody want to make a motion and then
Making a motion to amend it or just leave it as it is, and then we don't vote.
So,
I think just leave it as it is.
Gwen's against it.
well, no, I'm not against it. Just like,
What?
Gwen prefers it to be
Oh.
recommended.
Okay.
And April does too.
And April does.
April does too.
I guess,
Go either way.
Matthew, just to get your feedback, in your mind, can you just explain the difference between a recommendation versus a requirement without penalty?
Kind of like how you're required to be at these meetings. so many times. But obviously, though, not everybody's here or can make it. There's no that you don't automatically get booted if you don't make the required attendance. So it's a requirement, but no penalty. And the requirement's there because we do have, or we in the past we had offenders who would not show up at all. So then we have to enforce a penalty on it to get that member to move out of the way or get them off the board.
If someone in the future was interested in becoming a member and they read the language as required, do you think that would be a deterrent if they didn't get the clarification in person behind the scenes of what that means?
I think it would be better if they saw it that way, so then they knew that they had to put more time in. Because even in that guide that we were all referencing, it even states that as a board member, you should be, which we don't. Again, there's no penalty here, but you should be out there helping out as well, not just working a booth, but also volunteering as well as being on the rec board, where we don't go as far.
Can we change it to like a strong recommendation?
No.
Middle ground?
You know what I'm saying? Like strong recommendation.
Strongly
And
recommend
give a
it.
reason why.
All right, so I'll make a motion to let.
Oh yeah, you can make motion. Then we can have a discussion later on. That's okay.
Okay, I was going to make a motion to change the verbiage from required to strongly recommended, as far as how much time you are supposed to commit to the rec board outside of the rec meetings. I will leave it open for discussion.
And do you want to change the language, the requirement, like whatever the requirement is, and put a comma and say exceptional could be ground like accepted on the grounds of genuine reason, or exceptions are maybe allowed.
But then you're gonna have to, wait.
If
Then
So-
I think we're getting really nitpicky
Yeah.
and what, might be an exception for me might not necessarily be an exception for Matt. You know what I mean? Like
I
that-
understand.
that
I'm
gets-
just because of the future. He's saying that when it may be a deterrent for the future members, oh, this is a requirement. I have to commit this much. So when they read the language, they don't know the behind. I'm just seeing what Emily is saying. They don't know the thought process behind it, like 10 years from now. So that language is there, and then when they see exceptional word, then that makes them more okay. I can have some excuses. That's the only supportive in the changes. Otherwise, I don't have any problem with that. It's just to what she's saying, Emily's saying about in the future.
Yes.
I think I wasn't obviously here when the situation of maybe a board member wasn't holding their weight. But I think even if we word it with recommendation, I think we can still approach that individual if we get there. I don't think that this board will ever get there. I think it's a great group, but there's going to be more reasons why this person isn't holding their weight other than events. It's probably going to be more reasons than that. So I think if that's the reason we're keeping it as required, then I think that might be a stretch.
Well, the requirements also, so it's also part of the role as well as, remember, we have no way of communicating with the public or even getting feedback from the public unless they show up here. Whereas when you're at a booth, even if it's only for 15 minutes, you get the ability to interact with a resident from the township and actually solicit their feedback. Whereas here, we can't do that.
All right, I second the motion. I'm fine with that.
So all those in favor of changing it from required to strongly recommended. Again, this is changing it from required to strongly recommended. You can signal by saying aye. All the
Aye.
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 anyone opposed? Okay. So it passes to change to strongly recommended. All right, moving on. Chapter 16, Parks and Recreation.
So you guys have a little packet, well, a couple papers in front of you titled Chapter 16. This is straight from our E-code ordinances online. So this is available for public view, our view, everybody. So the reason I bring this to you today is because I've received several resident calls about the same thing, one being propane, Raj has brought up to me, and a couple other just commonly brought up things that are not clarified in the ordinances. So really, these aren't major changes at all. This is just more so to clarify and for me to be able to lean on these ordinances a little stronger versus, well, doesn't say it in the ordinance, but so everything in the highlighted yellow is what has been either added or taken out. So if we want to just start on page 2, it's number 10 there, cancellations. This is an easy fix, easy one to change here. So our current 2024 fee schedule says 7 working days. So if you are within 7 working days, you do not receive a refund. And I believe it's 21, between 7 and 21 days, you get partial refund. So the 5 working days does not reflect that. I actually had a resident use this against our own current fee schedule, and we did have to accommodate because it says it here in the ordinance, but it was wrong. So that's an easy change. I hope the board can approve that one.
So, what's the logic behind the days?
Um,
Why 7 instead of 8 or instead of 4? Or
7, I think that they extended it just so that we have enough time to open it back up so that it can potentially fill. It's essentially just a wasted opportunity for someone to rent that pavilion, and I think that's why they just extended it to 7 days instead of the 5. It's not a huge change, but this is what's reflected on the approved 2024 fee schedule.
what do other townships do?
Other townships, I'm not sure. So this was approved before I kind of took the lead on this. So this is, I just think that the ordinance should match our fee schedule that's been approved for 2024. I think it was just missed.
Does our ordinance make sense though?
I think the ordinance makes sense. I think you need as much time as you can to fill that slot. It's not fair to me necessarily to cancel on a Monday and expect a full refund, and probably no one's going to be planning a party on a Monday for that weekend, potentially on a Saturday for the next Saturday, maybe.
Gotcha.
But I think it makes sense for 7. And it, again, just matches what we have. And we can't change the fee schedule at this point. So we have to default.
Yeah. That way you're consistent.
Gotcha.
Good to move on?
Yep.
Okay. We can flip the page to J. This is more just a clarity thing. So we already kind of had something in writing, but I get this question a lot. So, hey, Emily, I have a birthday party scheduled at Grange Park Pavilion 2, and I would love to bring a moon bounce. Is that allowed? Well, it's not in our ordinances. We do have a slight reference to equipment, but when you read that, I don't think moon bounce. So the ordinance says any recreation equipment brought into any pavilion or facility to be used by the applicant must be approved by township. So there I just added the example of moon bounce, trampolines, inflatables. For these items, they are technically allowed, but we would require a certificate of insurance. So just an extra layer of coverage for these items that would have to go through us.
So where is it? So where is that listed? Or why isn't that all under J? Or how did they get it approved by the township?
So they would have to reach out to us. They wouldn't just be able to bring it one day and expect to be able to use it. They would have to, and this would be reflected when they book a pavilion. They have to fill out a form. It would also be listed there if we're okay to proceed with these changes.
Does it ask if they have a moon bounce, or they bring? Are you asking? So I guess the question is, how do you enforce it, or how do we know that Jim's party over there who has a moon bounce? How do we know that he actually followed the rules?
They would have some sort of receipt documenting that, or they would bring their certificate of insurance. Either or, those details can be figured out. But the main point is to just have it on there so that they do know to take that next step to contact the township if they want to use it. And they've been already without it on there, but this kind of makes it clear that they needed additional approval.
Can I throw some information in there,
Go ahead, April.
Emily? Yeah. So this subject came up several years ago, and we actually had a phone conference. It was myself and a couple other people with Kathy Rader and the insurance company. And the insurance company was dead against us allowing anybody to have any inflatables at the park. I would recommend before we make a ruling on this that you contact our insurance and see what they say.
Thank you.
Thanks, April.
Sure, happy to help.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know when we were in Friends, we have to buy extra insurance for when we had like to plan some events where we're sponsoring it, where we had, I when I was a president there, so I have to really have a $2 million or $3 million minimum policy to have those inflatable moon bounce or trampoline or anything like that, because some of the events
insurance, so if they want to have this.
yeah.
Mhm.
She's required
So
to have
Yeah.
because the township plus on the top, I am like, because we are the sponsors, even though we are the part of the township non-profit, but still we have to
Yeah,
buy a
every
separate
nonprofit, yeah.
insurance to cover that too. To have a double barrier, because that's going to be very, very expensive if something happen on that trampoline. So that's
No one technically brings their own moon bounce. They rent a moon bounce, and that company sets it up, correct?
That's what we would require. Yeah.
Okay.
So this wouldn't be like buy a moon bounce on Amazon and hook it up kind of thing. This would have to be an established
Yeah.
organization, commercial grade.
maybe commercial with a certificate of
Right.
insurance is allowed. So that could be, because that way it will be okay.
Right.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Right.
Certificate of insurance saying that we are having an event on this township on that day, particular day. That certificate should state that.
Well, it would be provided by whoever the owner of the moon bounce is. So so if you're throwing a party, you would rent a moon bounce, not bring your own moon bounce. And then that company should have
You should
a
have
certificate of liability.
certificate of liability.
Right.
Does anyone make their own fire pits? It says no one's permitted to, but did they do it anyway?
Not that I know of. Have you ever seen that?
What's up?
Fire pits, people making their own fires.
Does anyone like
Just
come
making
and
one?
make their own
No.
fire pit?
They're allowed to do it in the grills, but nobody just goes and makes a fire pit. Not that I've seen anyways, since I've been here.
Right.
Good to move on to the next one. All right.
Yes.
So we are at P. This brings us to a call that I got from Raj, but not only Raj, a handful of other residents as well, asking about propane gas. This one, I got green flags when asking township manager, our public works, Scott Faust, are all okay with propane as long as it's not underneath the pavilion. It has to be out and
Out the pavilion.
open
Okay.
space. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. So this just clarifies that again. This way, if we see someone with a grill with propane underneath the pavilion, we can walk up to that individual and say, you need to move this. So
That makes sense.
small changes, small clarifying
No, that's fine.
details.
I like it
Yeah.
because it's in black and white.
Yeah.
It's not you thinking or me thinking.
Right.
We know that this is, and I think it should be printed on the application form too. Like,
Yes.
when you fill out a file, are you going to use the propane gas?
Right.
And so that way they can click, and there it's clarification for me if I'm booking a pavilion for a cookout and I'm going to cook some grilled chicken or something on the grill, so that really clarification for anybody to say, okay, I can't bring my own propane, or I can not keep it under the pavilion.
Right.
So if it is there in I
And
think
check it off.
check it off. Like,
Right.
okay, yes, I'll be using it. Then the marker should in the bracket, shouldn't be used underneath the pavilion. So
Right.
that way, at least it's very clear to the resident who's booking at that time, who's planning to.
Do we have signs at the pavilions that have like
Yeah,
no this, no that? You know what I mean?
that's a good
Not
idea.
currently. Not currently.
People don't read signs.
No,
The
but
only
I'm-
sign that's there is the phone number
Mhm.
for rentals, and if they had a problem,
Okay.
that's the only little sign that's on the pavilions,
Okay.
besides the number of the pavilion.
Hmm.
But if we could never put all this on a sign anyway.
No. But I'm just saying, like,
Important things.
something like that would be
A
you know,
common.
a
The
common.
people
yeah.
that are renting it are supposed to read this before they
Yeah.
rent it.
Yeah.
And if they
Well.
have any questions, this is where
Mhm.
you're supposed to, call her. But
Yeah.
they should. This is all when they fill out their sheet. Everything's on.
That's all given to them. Okay. Okay.
It's
It's and it's.
I have a question.
sense, but
Go ahead, April.
Do we have maybe posting the rules and make sure that they explains the fire codes, and also having on site fire extinguisher or shakers with baking soda to extinguish a fire? I think Matt, you probably know the rules better than any of us.
Yeah, but if you set the pavilion on fire, that's got fire extinguisher is going to help you too.
Well, it always starts small, right?
It helps. It helps for sure.
I mean, have we had a lot of issues with this?
No
the
issues,
past.
just questions like,
Mhm.
can I use propane? And
Yeah.
I think a few people in the building were against it, but there was no real backing for it. I kind of dug deeper and found that we can. It's just more so can't be underneath,
Underneath,
a covered. Yeah,
which makes sense.
which makes sense.
Yeah, because sometimes like you don't want to be messy and use a charcoal grill. You just bring your own grill and more environmental friendly than the charcoal grill, which is in
Right.
the park. We have every pavilion has a charcoal grill, so you don't want to be messy and put the charcoal in, and then it's easier to bring your own grill and just fire up the grill. So that's what the question about. Like, I asked, like, hey, can I bring my own grill and fire it up, and rather than bringing the charcoal and cleaning it up after that, and it's a lot of mess. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
it takes time and effort to clean up.
But like I said, it's common sense not to have it in there. But
Yeah.
You would hope so.
But yeah, that would be nice if we have a sign, no propane under the tank, or like, and because
I mean, we have, I mentioned in the department updates that we have what's called a Main Street grants for $1,000. And we're thinking, like, where should we allocate that? I mean, maybe signage, because, it's cheap enough where it's not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars. We may pay a little bit more than 1,000 on our end, but it could be a nice addition to the heart of our township, or,
yeah.
I know, and
So-
believe me that when I'm feeling like I'm just sitting as a common man, I know the township, like, I'm the board, so I know the rules. That's what I'm asking. Otherwise, if a common man is bringing, he's just scrolling down and say yes for everything. He's not reading this.
Right.
The ordinance of 3 pages,
Right.
nobody's reading it.
Yeah.
You just say I agree, and then
That's right.
So I can
And if you have a
look into the signage
Paul,
prices, get
nobody
some
reads
quotes,
this.
and
You
maybe
just scroll down
That's
and then
human nature.
No,
Yeah.
not.
Right.
We don't need like
just the main stuff,
Yeah.
the frequently asked questions.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's like
yeah, dangerous.
It's like the user policies online.
So if we have a sign like a no propane use, and or when you're filling out the application, you just make a build up there and say, are you going to use a propane? Yes or no. That way people will answer it.
Mhm.
But if you ask them to read the agreement and then say I agree, I would scroll down and say I agree. Nobody has time to read
Yes.
3 pages.
I agree that form needs to be updated anyway. It
Yeah.
has some outdated language on there, so this is the time, the
Yeah,
next
no.
month or two to clean it up.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. I like that because when I saw that sign and there's nothing there which says like I maybe in the ordinance and the policies.
Right.
To be frank, nobody's using it.
Oh my
reading
God.
it.
It's going to make me crazy.
Jackie, can you add that as an action item for myself to look up quotes for signage? And eventually, when we all agree on these changes, all of them, I'll have to bring them to Board of Supervisors to get the final approval. So we don't necessarily need to come up with a yes today, but just kind of start the conversation. I'd love for you guys to also take these home, look it over. If you think of any gaps, maybe bring it up the next meeting.
I have one question. I'm sorry, I know stop. It says any food trucks, trailers, or other vehicle providing food services.
On the
no,
next-
we're getting there. We're getting there.
The next one, right?
Yeah, next
Yeah.
one.
Before we go there, so they still have W here. Is this
Say
the-
that again.
W is still in there.
The use of drones.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that one afterwards.
Okay.
Is that applied to the ice cream trucks too?
Anything providing
Yeah.
food.
Because I see them all the time.
That's why
Right.
it's coming up.
So going to that last one, if you flip the page, I'm not sure what page we're on, but this is double A. So any food trucks, trailers, or vehicles providing food service within Upper Macungie Parks must be approved by the township. Keeping it kind of vague for a reason. I'm still kind of looking into how other municipalities are treating their food trucks. I did call around. Doylestown was one that picked up and kind of walked me through the process. So I did give you guys a little piece of what they do. So they actually have an exclusivity agreement where they only work with one food truck for just free range, like coming to their premises as they want. This is not including like events, things like that. That's a kind of a separate invite list. But for this, the food truck would actually pay something up front at the beginning of the season for exclusivity for either the, I think it shows you different, on that last page, they can pick from annual exclusivity, 6 month or 3 month. Generally, they only work with one food truck. And I asked them, well, what if you get more than one interested in this? And they said they've never had that situation happen. But I think that this is an interesting document to look at, and I think it's a starting point for what we can do. Obviously, it doesn't have to mirror this, but I thought it was interesting how they went about it. But big things that I think we should incorporate. I think any food truck that is on our premises absolutely needs to be able to show proof of insurance, and they need to be able to show that they have their, I think it's like their county certificate to serve food
Right.
in the
Safe-
county. They need to
safe
be able to
serve.
show that. Safe serve. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Which we don't currently. And from what I've seen, what I've heard, we have a ton of food trucks just going in and out of Grange. We don't know who they are. They have no background check with us.
Mhm.
They're in our parks. They're with our kids. It's important that we know who they are.
Mhm.
And I think that they should have a level of approval through the township because as of now, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree
Mhm.
because I see ice cream trucks all over the summer, and nothing against them, but if they can have like they can pay us something to contribute towards the parks.
Well, it's going to be. It's nothing. The fee shouldn't be anything like outrageous. It's just something.
Yeah, like 5%.
5%. It's more. What were we thinking? Like $25 or $50 something for an annual permit?
Well, if you're looking at Doylestown, and this is exclusivity, so that means no food trucks
Ooh.
besides this one can go in there. So it's $5,000 for an
That's a
exclusivity.
good amount for our park too.
Well, that's why they only have one.
Right. Maybe. So just something to think about. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the Doylestown method, but
that's a
If it's
5,000 is a big
exclusive,
dollar
you gotta
amount.
get in early, man.
right.
Well, it's just not worth
Oh.
it. So I think Bucks County is the one that's real strict with their food trucks. I believe you're not allowed to serve from a food truck in Bucks County. It has to be pre-made and then served from the food truck. So it's not like made.
Mhm.
I believe that was Bucks County, or First County.
Mhm.
But that seems excessive.
Yeah,
Which part of it?
The
$5,000.
Yeah. I don't think it necessarily. Again, this is just a reference, like of me taking a day or two to Google what's around us, and Doylestown has a lot of food trucks in their area. I'm there in my free time, so I just figured I'd look at what they're doing. And again, we may just use this as a starting point for what we want our
And-
process to look like.
And definitely we should follow some fee, because and that will at least control like who is serving our kids, and they have a certificate of insurance, are they like authorized or properly checked by the food service department of Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? So that way at least we protect ourselves and the kids. So that's a good, I like it. Maybe we can discuss next meeting about the dollar amount to have exclusive things on that, so that it is, I think Doylestown is a rich county, not the Upper Macungie Township is very small.
I mean, everything else it's good, like especially the identification safety. So I was telling Emily the other day, I was riding my bike with my daughter, and there was a short school bus with an ice cream sticker on the side selling ice cream at Grange Park, and it just looked incredibly suspect. So that's the kind of things that are happening in the park.
Yeah.
So that's what's
Yeah.
also driving this.
Yeah.
So I have a question. If we do this, will they have to display some sort of a sticker on the truck? And who's going to police it?
They would have essentially like a township given permit or receipt of the exclusivity agreement. But that's a great question about the policing that Jim actually brought up prior to this meeting. So Doylestown, how they do it, they actually work with their police department directly, and there is a fine, solicitation fine for if a food truck is out in the parks that are listed on this agreement, and that they don't have a permit to show, they do get fined. So that's something that I don't have the answers for today, but I think it's something that for next month I can certainly dig deeper into that and have more answers.
I mean, that would make sense because the police are going through the parks, pretty
Absolutely.
regularly. And I mean, they go through like our neighborhood and stuff too. So that would
Help police it. Yeah.
would help police it and also kind of keep them honest.
Our township has a solicitation permit.
I have to look into it. I don't know the answer off the top of my
Does.
head.
We do.
Huh?
We do.
I thought there was something
Something that I'll look into for next month's meeting.
because
I'll
I know
share.
with people coming to our house, I think they have to have they have to show something.
I don't know.
I thought
We've
I
I think we
quite
should.
a few.
I think the next
recently.
month we should discuss
Why did they
if we
start that
agree on
program?
that. I don't know. We should
Because
discuss
they
for the
got
next month's agenda.
They got randos.
Structure.
Yeah, I mean, she's still in the infancy stage of this. She just brought this as this one as just an example. Of what
Yeah, that's an example of that. That's what I'm saying. So that's a great example. Actually, we can just copy and paste and just little tweet about our own fee structures on it. Because what do you want to change in this except the fee structure? Everything is standard. I see it, name of the company name, bus name, everything is standard except the fee structure. If we decide to have something like that.
Yeah, and then the only recommendation that I would maybe bring is, so this is just backstory. This was tailored for one truck that they have a very long history with. They don't really open up this door for many trucks. It's literally just one ice cream truck that they do this for. I think we can maybe expand on that and maybe do one exclusive ice cream truck and one exclusive dinner food truck, like open it up more, or maybe make a elite 4 group or something like that, where it's not just one truck, but we can maybe open the door for a few more
Yeah,
and not just one.
definitely.
Yeah.
If one truck, I think because of the fee structure, this much dollar amount if they're collecting,
Yeah.
no other food truck is going to come in.
Right.
Because, you see how high the fee is. So that shows that they had a relationship and that truck is doing well. That's why they were able to beat it. pay this fee.
Right.
So I agree with that. We don't need to be exclusive, but at least we should have a minimum permit fee
For the right to
for the
serve.
right to enter in the park
Yeah.
to sell. Like, okay, you suppose ice cream, I own an ice cream truck or Matt own an ice cream truck and we both want to be in the same park. All right, Matt and I will pay $250. I'm just giving you an example to get a permit to enter in the park to sell.
Right.
So that $250 will have a background check, their insurance check, their everything checked by the township personnel. Then that will be given to the permit to me. And if I fail, I won't get it. Matt will get it.
I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, my ice cream would be better though. Just saying.
The problem with having exclusivity is you want to price gouge.
Correct. You're right on that one.
You can
You know, so
start
maybe-
whatever you want.
Maybe not exclusivity, but just a permit to be in our park.
Yeah.
I would be more in favor of.
Yeah, it's like Emily said, this was like the first one that she looked at, and she's gonna start looking
Yeah.
at some ideas and stuff. Maybe even see what the surrounding townships are doing.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Sounds like it should be fun. All right, moving on. Or was there, I'm sorry, was there anything else?
Adventure.
Nope. Good.
Volunteers in the park.
Yep. So this is just kind of a baby step towards a bigger picture here with volunteers in the park. You have a flyer here for the sign up sheet. This was kind of brought to my attention kind of in two directions. So Jasmine Vasquez, who's our township secretary, she attended a conference, PSATs, recently. And they had a whole workshop on volunteering and how to make your volunteers feel appreciated and want to come out and build your volunteer pool. And so she came to me with all these exciting ideas. And then I actually received a couple phone calls of people saying, hey, what's this VIP program? I want to get involved. What does it entail? And up until this point, it's basically just a spreadsheet of people's names and their contacts. We don't really have a purpose for them. We don't have a kind of a process for them. Really just a purpose. So I want to, this list is only made up of maybe about 15 individuals. I think that we can grow this. I think we can make it bigger. I think we can turn it into larger scale projects down the road. So this was just more of an open dialogue question to the board as far as how do we maybe grow this program, rejuvenate it, make it something that's actually contributing to the community versus just sitting on a spreadsheet.
Well, I know like the high schools, the kids have to do, don't they have to do like so many
Volunteer hours.
Volunteer hours. So
Yeah.
that might be a way to, I mean, that would be high school kids that could help out with, some programs and things. Do volunteers have to get clearance?
Yes.
Don't they?
Well,
Oh yeah.
they did not up until this point. So that is a piece of this discussion is kind of what does the onboarding of a volunteer look like? So kind of the consensus is yes, that's the direction that we're going to head in to make it more official. Child abuse, FBI, the whole
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
prior to becoming an official UMT volunteer in the park.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a real important thing.
Yes, agreed.
All the stuff that's
But then who's going to
on
pay for
recently.
it too?
It doesn't cost too much. It's about $20.
I think that I know the township did it for me
Yeah, we would pay
and
for
for
it.
Matt and
I did
for
it.
Jackie and for everyone else.
I did it from to the township. It's free.
Yeah.
Like
For
volunteers.
instructors, yeah,
yeah.
you're right. So for volunteers, it is free. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just a matter of doing it. That's
Yeah,
really
just it takes 2 seconds to fill up.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess then the other thing would be also giving these out at the booth or talking to people
Mhm.
whenever we do have events and make sure there's I'm assuming there's an electronic form of this.
Yeah. Yep. But this can be again something that we think about, sleep on, come up with some ideas, and revisit it at another meeting. I think what I picture, and this is some ideas that Jasmine had brought to me, is, we have volunteer shirts, and that, maybe seems like a stretch, but if you wear that shirt, you feel like you're kind of a part of something. Maybe we do an annual potluck or something with our volunteers, and maybe we give them Earth Day to run with. That is Volunteers in the Park run event that they're choosing the project or something where we're getting them involved and we're getting them excited about something, so that's really why I wanted to bring it up to you guys, because I just feel bad that they're just sitting on a spreadsheet and we really don't have a direction for them right now.
Basically, volunteers, as a volunteer, you always want to feel appreciated. It's not because you're a volunteer, you're not getting paid for it. At least the appreciation goes a long way. So what Jasmine said, a shirt, is nothing but an appreciation, just to wear it and then appreciate that, okay, we are on the team of a township to help make our township, success, what their parks and rec goals are. And ideas are like movie in the park. Volunteers will get the front row. No, it's just appreciation. It's nothing. Everybody's sitting in the park. It's not like it's just to have a volunteer in the park program, the chair label for the VIPs. So that's nothing but a appreciation for a person who, it's not that he or she want to sit there. It's just appreciated on that day that they have been recognized as a volunteer and then given to the first preference for them, and because they volunteer in so and so and so acts, this some ideas. It's not like you have to implement that. It's just some ideas where you appreciate them and they do it. That's the thing. Definitely, it's a good idea, and we definitely need more than 15 volunteers for sure. We have so many programs.
Awesome. Okay. So you want the rec board to think about it and come up with some ideas for you?
Yeah. Even if it's just an email, like how April shared the app, that's great. This is something I'd like to continue working on.
I'll add it to the action items for everyone.
Awesome. Okay. That is it. Courtesy of the floor.
Oh, final push for one more. Sorry.
Oh, I can't read. Sorry.
Yes,
final push.
This one's a quick one, I promise. So we are kind of nearing the point where I'd like to make a final push with our sponsorship program. So part of this program, depending on what tier you go with, and I have packets for you guys to give out, so you can see that. But depending on the tier that you choose, you get certain like amenities. So you get like a banner that gets hung up at select events that you choose. A shout out on social media. If you guys have started to see that on Sundays, we started shouting out some of our sponsors, website exposure, and again, just kind of a couple other amenities depending on what tier you're at. With the fact that the sponsor has to pick certain events to be affiliated with. We're kind of getting towards that halfway point of our year, our year of events. So I have these packets for you guys. And I would love if, and you let me know if this is feasible or not, but by next month, I would love to have the manpower to each of us hand out 5 of these packets to a business that may be interested in one of these tiers of sponsorship programs. So I have packets for you guys over here when the meeting's done. I also will give you guys the newsletter. We're going to start to plan our fall and winter newsletter, and that's going to be hitting mailboxes in August. So we do advertising on here as well. So if you wanted to talk to people about it, this is just an example to bring with you and show different kinds of advertising opportunities. But is that feasible for us to hand it out to 5 businesses that we feel might be interested?
Wait. So we were just talking about giving up too much. We didn't want to do the requirement because we thought it was going to be too much work, but now we're adding more work.
I'm asking if it's feasible. I figure we all have networks, of
do all the businesses have to be in Upper Macungie or,
They don't necessarily.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I figure we have like maybe family friends that own businesses or
I mean,
whatever, that it's
I guess it's
again, not a requirement. It's if you know 5 people.
it's strongly recommended.
No, it's just recommended.
I mean, just an idea. Anywhere that you go, like if there's a laundromat or not laundromat, a dry cleaner or a pizzeria that you go to, you can always bring it in with you and see what they say. Worst they can say is no.
That's really it. And I have 5 printed out for everyone, so you can even just leave it with them and walk away if you don't even want to have that conversation with them necessarily. But yeah, just like Matthew said, if you're out and about anyway, if you want to just bring these, we already did meet our budget goal of $10,000 for this, but I'd love to keep on pushing. So
In your contact
I
information, there.
I have 2 items.
What?
I have 2 items. One, could you put together a packet for me and I'll pick it up when I'm back in the neighborhood? And second, could you, I think we need to, so we don't double dip on the same business and all assault the same ones, maybe keep like a little running tally, maybe send out an email, hey, I just dropped something off with this business so we don't hit them again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hey, April,
Yes.
your ideas are a lot better in Alabama than they are up here.
I've been in class all day for the last 3 days, man. My brain is on overdrive.
That's why. Okay. Yes, good idea. Awesome. Okay. And you said your contact information is in there. Okay. All right. Anything else?
that's it.
All right. I make a motion to adjourn. Okay.
I'll second.
Sounds good.
All right. All those in favor? Hey.
Bye.
Bye, April.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
Could you say